Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video for you. Specifically, we're going to be looking at one of our newest series entitled Stout Squads, where specifically we're going to be looking at GAC teams and how good they can be in 5v5 as well as 3v3, both on offense and defense. Specifically today, we're going to be looking at 5v5 offense. With that being said, everyone, let's get into it. All right, so first and foremost, folks, one thing I want to preface before we get into all of the details of the team here. So we're going to look at this from both a current standpoint in terms of the datacrons that are available in this moment in time, and we're going to also kind of look at these as squads without datacrons. So what are they going to look like in the future? What's the relevance going to be far into the future? That kind of thing. One of the other things that I like to do with this series here, folks, is give a variety of teams. So is a Kyber 1 player going to use every single one of these teams? Probably not. But there are at least going to be some teams that a Kyber 1 player could use. Are all of these teams going to be accessible and usable for a brand new player that's only at maybe like 1 million GP? No. But my goal is that at least one of these teams is going to help you and benefit you in your GAC. So with that being said, folks, we're going to be looking at our 5v5 offensive squads. Are these teams going to be able to work on defense? Probably. But in my opinion, they're far more effective on offense than they are on defense. So first and foremost, let's get things started here with our GL Slayer, folks. This team is well renowned for being able to just decimate GLs when it is used on offense in particular. You can see, unfortunately, I do not have it because I hate the Inquisitors. And no matter how much you guys bug me, I refuse. I hate the Inquisitors. But if you don't hate the Inquisitors, you should get this team immediately, guys. They're really, really freaking good. I'm not even kidding. But it is a big, big farm for this team, unfortunately, guys. So this is a team that really, you're going to probably have to be a pretty high-end player. Definitely a high-end guild, or at least a guild that is highly focused on this, in order to get this team. So keep that in mind as we move forward. If you're a newer player, this probably isn't going to be a team for you to focus on right off the bat. So first and foremost, we have the Inquisitors, the base Inquisitor team, which includes 7th Sister, 9th Sister, and then you can really kind of use any of the other variants. 8th Brother is the one that typically is most commonly thrown into here. 9th Sister, you could also swap out too if you say you only need one tank. If you want the team to be a little bit more annoying on defense, probably throw in 9th Sister. If you want 9th Sister to be available in other squads as a tank, maybe you pull her out since it's going to be used on offense and throw in a different Inquisitor in that last spot there. But you have your core Inquisitors that you're going to be farming, obviously, folks, getting up and running for your Grand Inquisitor unlock. Once you've got Grand Inquisitor unlocked, then you're going to be able to finally go after the 3rd Sister, aka Reva, and get her. She is what really takes this team over the top, guys, to the next level. The Inquisitors themselves, without Grand Inquisitor and 3rd Sister, not amazingly good in GAC. When you add Grand Inquisitor in the lead, it becomes a pretty good team. Not GL level to be clear, but a pretty good team. Maybe B+. When you throw in 3rd Sister in there, suddenly this team skyrockets, as I said, to being a total GL Slayer, A+ level team, guys. Really, really good, if not S tier. Currently, datacrons, the current season, there's not really a massive datacron benefit geared towards them. However, there is an unaligned force user cron going around, obviously, right now that can benefit them. It's not geared towards them that heavily, but it does benefit them. So you can certainly get some benefit from this team with the datacrons currently. That's probably why I've got them at the top of my list, folks. Just with how good the team is, and plus with the datacron uses that we're getting in the current season, it's probably going to be my number one team offensively here to use in this current season. Moving on to the next team that we've got, everybody. We've got Slay the Slayer. So I don't like using GLs against Reva, guys, because she can beat GLs. So as a result, for me personally, my go-to counter against Reva, if I see her on defense, is to use Traya. Traya specifically, folks, with Savage, you do need to have Savage and that Omicron there. I like to use Sidious. Obviously, the core three are the Triumvirate: Darth Treya, Darth Sion, Darth Nihilus. When you throw in Darth Savage, or not Darth Savage, sorry, Savage Oppress, that gives you a much, much, much stronger tank than what Sion is going to give to you. Plus, just a ton of longevity for the team and durability. I usually like to throw Sidious into the 5th slot here, folks, because Sidious really starts to stack up a lot of damage throughout the course of the battle, and suddenly Sidious is going to end up one-shotting characters. He gets that strong throughout the duration of the battle. So, one reason why I just love this team is that, obviously, the durability of this team is amazing. You obviously have the one-shot capability of Darth Nihilus, where he can just yeet people. And like I said, as the game or the match progresses, even Sidious can get to the point where he's doing that kind of damage as well. This is a great team against kind of those unbeatable squads, if you will, because of Nihilus in particular and the durability of this squad. If you are not familiar with the Omicron on Treya, her leadership Omicron is basically what makes this team work. The Savage Omicron is what makes him tanky. If you are facing a dark side GL, don't bother, folks, because Treya's Omicron is completely negated as a result. Best teams to use this against are teams that are debuff heavy in particular. So, again, Inquisitors are a great example. Those debuff heavy teams are what make Treya actually super duper duper durable. Let me know in the comments, folks. Do you think this is best on offense or defense? I would imagine most people are using this team on offense, but it can be tricky on defense. All right, next up, we've got the Bounty Hunters, everybody. Bounty Hunters, the team I'm showing you right now is probably the better version for a lower level player. This is a great team in the mid-tier of SWGOH, I would say. Someone that is between, let's say, 3 to 8 million GP, somewhere in that realm. This team, if you clock them correctly, that's the key thing here, folks. You must clock their turns very, very, very specifically for this team to work. If you do, though, you've got a one Omicron team that can take out the likes of Darth Revan, Admiral Radis, sometimes even bigger teams if you get really, really lucky with your setup. It is a phenomenal, phenomenal team on offense. I don't recommend using these guys on defense. The previous two teams that we talked about could be used on defense and do very well. This is not one I would use on defense. The AI just does not know how to use this team correctly. Now, with that being said, Zam's Omicron is kind of what makes this team tick, and that's because she shares stats, including speed. If you get your Bosk and your Grief Karga up fast enough, this team just turn meter rolls your opponent. And because of the Mandalorian and the way that his kit works, he's going to gain a ton of turn meter. The rest of the team is going to gain a ton of turn meter. And the Mandalorian is going to basically just one-shot somebody, similar to Darth Nihilus. You're noticing a little bit of theme here probably, folks, that there is a one-shot type thing going on. With the Inquisitor team, it's mostly because of the death mark from Third Sister. In these two teams, it's Nihilus and Mandalorian. They all have kind of that heavy, heavy, heavy damage that they can do, or an instant defeat type mechanic that make this team so good on offense, both of these teams. The reason I say that this version is more of the mid-tier, folks, is because as you start to get to the higher end of GAC and you're facing Lord Vaders and you need a counter that can beat a Lord Vader, this team starts to get kind of cannibalized to Fennec. As you get to the higher end of the scale of things, folks, usually you're going to see Fennec, Bosk, Grief, Mando, and Bam in a team. You might sub out somebody to put in Zam if you really need the speed, that kind of thing. And Aura ends up just kind of losing her spot, unfortunately. But the Bounty Hunters as a whole, guys, you definitely want to save them for offense. They're amazing on offense. Certainly not a team that I would recommend putting on defense unless you're at the really, 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 really beginning level of the game. And even then, I still think they're better on offense, regardless. You'll notice, folks, this team does not really have a Datacron set right now. They are amazing, but they're not really benefiting a ton from a particular Datacron set. So just an FYI on that, if you guys are thinking about this for the current season. Next up, we have the Unstoppable squad. This is one of the, again, early accessible squads, guys. We've got our Imperial Trooper squad here with Veers, Piet, Dark Trooper, Gideon, and Range Trooper. So this team, while they are pretty easily accessible, there is a bit of a caveat with this, and it's kind of the same idea as it is with the Bounty Hunters. A lot of this team and the Bounty Hunter team can run at Gear 12. They can function very well at Gear 12. As long as, in this case, you've got relics usually on Bosk and Grief, because you need the speed on those two. With the Imperial Troopers, you need the relics on Piet and Dark Trooper. Piet for speed, Dark Trooper for offense. If you're including Gideon in this equation, you do want Gideon to be the fastest. That's the most important character in terms of speed. Typically, though, just because of the way farming works and Piet being, you know, a capital ship pilot and all that jazz, he ends up being your highest relic and your bigger priority in the long run. But if you've got Gideon on the team, folks, you do want him to be faster, just as an FYI. But these two are really the two that you need at relics. The other ones don't have to be at relics, folks. You just need speed from Piet, and you just need absolute massive amounts of damage from Dark Trooper. The idea behind this team, if you guys are not aware, basically you come out, you go first, you kill somebody, and you can't be stopped at that point. And that's why they're just entitled the Unstoppable Team. Because once they defeat somebody, the turn meter train is just unstoppable. It is an incredible, incredible turn meter train. It's going to beat a ton of different teams out there. Darth Revens, pretty much everything but Adrad in terms of a B tier and lower, or even A tier and lower. Adrad will shut this team down immediately, so don't try it on Adrad, folks. Next up, CLS. This is a team I have here at the bottom because you can have a very, very easy early version of this team that's still really highly effective if you're a newer player, or you could have it be a team like it is currently, kind of at its max version, which is still absolutely incredible. The big thing with this team currently is that they have a no revive cron, folks. The Scoundrels have a no revive cron, which, by the way, you can use that also on the Bounty Hunter squad, but that's a little bit more selective because it has to be a light side Scoundrel. In this case, you've got quite a few light side Scoundrels that are going to make use of that datacron. I highly recommend this team on offense. I should preface again, so the Bounty Hunters and the Troopers absolutely, in my opinion, are offensive teams. Do not use them on defense. Traya can be used on defense, but I strongly recommend them on offense. Reva could be used either or, but I strongly recommend on offense. CLS is kind of the same boat where they're great on offense and defense, but just because of their ability to control your opponent and just do mad amounts of damage, and in this case with the current Datacron set, to be able to prevent revives, it's a no-brainer on offense, folks. Of all of these teams, I would say the most accessible is probably the Bounty Hunters for newer players, followed by Imperial Troopers, then obviously CLS is next, and then obviously these last two are probably the most difficult ones to get, but highly effective. Our last bonus team that we have for you folks is one that is going to be working very well on offense and defense. You can see we kind of had that with CLS to some degree as well as Reva, but this is one that I think is most commonly seen on offense, but if you don't need them on offense, it's a great team on defense. And that is Starkiller, the Starkiller squad here, folks. Most people are going to use this on offense to take out a Rey. That's kind of its number one priority. That's where it works really well. A lot of people are taking Rey off of defense now, though. Because this team is so effective against Rey and can get such great banners, people are just taking it off of defense, which means you're not always utilizing this team to its maximum ability. So a lot of times people are now actually putting the Starkiller team on defense. Is it something that I necessarily recommend? No, I still think it's best on offense, but it can kind of go both ways. One thing I want to point out, folks, you'll obviously see my team has Plo Koon on it. There are different versions of this team that you could use. Plo Koon, you could use Old Ben, you could use Juhani. Any of those three work really well. Personally, I prefer Plo Koon here because then allows me to have Old Ben for a possible slicker counter. And Juhani, I just don't have up yet because I don't think she's that great. Because I'm not a super huge TW fan. Sorry, guys. I just don't like TW that much. But any of those three will work very, very well for you. All right, folks, that's going to wrap us up for today. Let me know, first and foremost, folks, is there a team that I missed? Is there a team that should be on this list that I missed? and absolutely needs to be on our stout squads for 5v5 on offense? Let me know in the comments below, everybody. Last but not least, everyone, if you liked today's video, I would appreciate it if all of you guys, of course, liked, subscribed, and turn on notifications so you guys don't miss any of our content that we've got coming out here in the near future. With that being said, everybody, catch you next time.